acacia. And remember that these are in all sorts of different biomes. And you might even find some cool special biomes, like the birch biome has a special tall birch tree biome, which you might find. Once you do that, then you can really start your farm. And I have mine laid out in a really weird way, and I'll explain that in just a moment. But if you are trying to get all of these saplings still, remember that hoes inside of 1.16 allow you to break leaves super duper fast. So I have this diamond hoe that I've been using this entire time, and you can see it breaks leaves really fast, and it allows you to pick up saplings. So this is just like your hand whenever you are breaking these leaves. If you use shears, you'll actually pick up the leaf block itself, but a hoe will break it just like your hand would, which is really good because it continues to drop the saplings and it continues to drop the sticks that you would normally get from the leaves, either decaying to make sure you put the hoe along with you. A iron will allow that instant, so you use that, but iron, diamond, right, whatever type of hoe you want to use that to break the leaves. And let me explain why this is happening. We are trying to make a rather efficient tree farm. This isn't an auto tree farm that uses like TNT or anything to all the trees, get all the drops or anything like that. It's still going to be a manual process, but we want the layout of the tree is a little bit different. You can see that it is a much larger area. So this is a radius of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Radius of 6. It is about 11. You have to not double, but double and then subtract because it's an odd number. So Acacia has those crazy branches that pop off to the side of their trees. So we're dealing with that. Next is spruce, and spruce is a large log. It is a double log, and that means that we'll have to put the saplings in this type of configuration, but its leaves sort of reach out in this one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is doubled because it's a 2, so a diameter of 12. So leave 12 blocks of space. For your spruce trees. One thing to mention is you could probably scoot them a little bit closer to vegetation because spruce tends to be very tall, especially this double high spruce. And I personally like the double high spruce because you can easily stair step your way up to the top and then get it all the way down, and you get a lot of wood that way. But because they generate so tall, you could probably scoot them closer to your.
Excuse me.
Dark oak, 1, 2, 3, 4 is a radius, so a diameter of 8 blocks that you need for your dark oak tree. And finally is jungle. And jungle is huge because jungle trees sometimes generate branches. So this may not even be big enough, but I'm just going to say it's large enough. So what we're dealing with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2, so that is 12 blocks. That's our largest area for these. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start planting these trees and run these as soon as possible. So I rid of all of the grass around these trees and replace it with some planks just because
specific
futuristic video. I got so hyped up when I found out there was going to be a cave update that I wanted to see if I could transform a regular old Minecraft cave into something that we can expect in this cave update with the blocks we have available right now. So you don't have to wait for this update all the way down in summer 2021. Let's see if we can bring 2021 a little bit closer and build a cave update right and run through a picture of what we can expect for this cave update to look like. This is a lush cave. We got some water features down there, some greenery, a lot of bush, a lot of awesome new features that we can't really have right now. Glowing vines, so awesome. There's some custom plants and foliage down there, but with the stuff we have right now, the blocks we have available right now, we can make something look very, very similar for a cave update coming next summer. Also, in these caves, we're going to get these awesome crystal geodes, and it's going to be so awesome. So I'm going to try to replicate that as best as I can as well. You can use those telescopes. I just can't wait. I'm going to be zooming in all day. Now let's get this cave started. We're going to make it look as close as possible to the lunch cave we saw in the cave update picture that I showed a little earlier. So, you guys want to take a look at this place and transform it for yourself. Also, I'm going to put a world download up for all the YouTube pages of mine and here to YouTube supporters. If you guys take a close look, walk around this area for yourself. Description. So go check it out if you guys want to join me. Let's get this started. One thing that I on the floor, I added grass. I added green. I added some green carpet and some green wool as well. The glowing one, but the rest of those as well. I added some light, and you don't see the actual true light coming out with grass, tall grass. We got ferns, we got flowers in here as well. We also have something that I love, stalagmites, stalactites here, just a little bit with some cobblestone. Also, another thing that you notice in these walls is a little bit of dirt as well, so it's not just stone. That's the cool thing about it. We got some bushes up on the walls as well. I got slabs, I got stairs, I think it looks a little bit cooler, a little bit more detail. Also, water features and caves are going to be the coolest thing. This is going to be awesome. It's not just this little one that I made right here, it's a little pond, but there's going to be big water systems down below. Maybe even ways to raft from one end to another. It's going to be so fun. Now, the cool thing about this cave is that it's not only just a regular cave that we're transforming, we're also making this all
guys think? What are you most excited for the most? What was the greatest news you saw on Minecraft Live? I think this is going to be a game-changing update, and I just can't wait to see more coming from Mojang. But guess what? Also, this is not the only cave update. The Lush Cave was my favorite, personally, but there's also the Dripstone Cave. Here's a picture of it. I would love to make something like this right now. Do a little bit of a transformation and make a really awesome base in that type of cave. Would you like to see that? Let me know in the comment section if you guys would like to. I will go ahead and do it on the very next video that I do. But for right now, I am out here. Thank you all so much for watching. Everybody, please download this world, enjoy, walk around, have fun, explore. Thank you all so much for all the support. And hopefully, one day, we can get a girl like Bubbles right next to me. You see that girl right there? Maybe one day that'll come.
Me reaching engaged customers like Jenna, who's been searching for landscapers on Google. So when she watches YouTube, my ad's there with a link to schedule now. I found my customers on YouTube. Get started with YouTube Advebture and find yours too.
The update that I know that so many of you, and well, so many of us as well, has been wanting. This update. It must feel amazing to be able to tell everyone that.
Seriously, I'm so excited about this. I mean, even before I joined GrindinG, I was always thinking about, like, when is the cave update going to come? This is it, but it's also got the clips of the mountains. It's such a big update, and I'm so excited.
How are you feeling, Agnes? Great, it's so good. So, we have been working on this update for quite long, and we can't wait to turn it around, and now it's announced it. And we're actually getting our first live look at what reactions. Those mobs are very, very excited. This year we asked some of our communities to submit questions that we'll answer across the show. This first question definitely feels like something everyone wants to know.
Mi pregunta es, ¿por qué se han tardado tanto en actualizar las pruebas y cuándo llegarán? En verdad hemos estado pidiendo esto por muchísimo tiempo.
Why has it taken so long? Like Brandon, I don't even know. Yeah, that's a very good question. But we've been dreaming about this for so long. So the question probably got to be right, but we don't want to rush it. But now, we'll spend the time update and also to make sure that we understand what the community actually wants. And we've also planned around it to make sure that we can work together with the community to make this as effective as possible. And we have also hired some new amazing developer team. And you're one of the amazing developers, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, with this update, we're making sure that we have as much variation as possible within the actual games themselves, but we want to make sure that the old phase is still retained as much as possible to keep that classic feel.
Yeah, and really, also we need to make sure that we have something for everyone, because, we have such a huge community, it's also a very diverse community, and that's such a beautiful thing. We really want this update to have something for everyone. So actually, we make sure to map all the features in the update to different player styles to really see that we fulfill that goal.
That's so cool. And you had such a big thought process on how you decide what to do.
Yeah, and obviously, we have spent a lot of time on just making sure that we have a really good fundament for the update. For example, with the player style mapping, and we've also worked with design pillars. So the design pillars, they can describe the vision of the update. Prioritize different features and also really define each feature. And we have two pillars for this update. And the first one is actually all about the spectacular mountains, snow, and the skiers go. Because of last year's live, the players voted for these features, and we felt that it's so important to deliver on that promise to make sure that we have spectacular.
Yeah, and another pillar that we actually integrated into this was having strategies on the phone. So of course, I thought already strategy and mining, but we wanted to see if we could push that just a little bit further and mine in the caves.
Yeah, and the third pillar is to create an underground of marble for the players. And that pillar is a lot of fun, adding variation to the underground and contrast and inspire players to craft their own underground adventures and build underground. And one thing we have done for this pillar is that we have added new cave biomes, and one of them is the lush caves.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to make sure that, of course, in Minecraft, all the original caves, they're pretty much the same. There's not much variation in terms of vegetation or different features inside of it. So for this, we wanted something which is a bit more light and lush and actually has vegetation. And I mean, I think it looks amazing.
Gorgeous. What was the inspiration behind it?
So, we were thinking about, okay, how should it feel when you're outside? And we wanted to feel so you feel very tiny inside a big garden or big forest. So, when you look up, it's actually vegetation above you, it's vegetation around you. And one source of inspiration we had is actually a Swedish painter called John Bauer. Because in his paintings, it's always, or often at least, a tiny character, and then it's huge forest, and you see the bottom of the trees because the vegetation is so big compared to the character.
And you're adding so many new plants in the lush caves.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw, but there was this new tree that was actually above on the overworld, and this is called an azalea tree. So it's a unique type of tree that you'll it'll be easy to spot for players. And if you actually find this and start going down its roots, you will find a lush cave there. So this is another part of adding strategy to mining, where there are certain landmarks which will allow you to understand what you're doing in the game.
And another one of the new blocks is a block called Spore Blossom. And it's that you maybe saw it in the video. It's a big pink flower that you find in the roof of the lush cave. And it will drip particles from that flower, but it will also actually feel like a big volume around it with particles. So it's similar to the particles that we found to the nether biomes in the nether update. But the cool thing here is that you can move the flower if you want to and get this particles anywhere you want in your world. So you can actually be very creative with that. So also, so there are mines in the lush cave, and they have glow fires on them, and these are actually a light source. You can also put them in.
And another plant we actually have is the drip plant, and you can actually see that they kind of grow from like water or anywhere else, and they grow quite tall, but they have like a little plant on the top that you can actually hop onto. So the idea of the mechanic behind it is that the leaf will actually tilt down when you set up the platform, so this will actually make you fall through. However, after a few seconds, it'll come back up. So it's kind of this like platforming block that allows you to continue platforming over and over again, which I hope is really exciting for content creators making maps.
Yeah, you can do this.
Yeah, so as you can see here, this is drastically different to what caves used to look like. And there's definitely still the old style of caves, but we wanted to make sure that there was much more variety in the sort of caves and shapes and the sizes you could get. And even here, you can see that there's some water underground.
Yes, so we actually one cave might have a another cave might not have that one. And this also means that we get naturally generated waterfalls, which is so pretty. And it also can be like a new way to traverse the underground. You can actually go cave rafting.
Yeah, so you'll see in a bit that our player here will actually use a boat to raft. And that is just such an exciting opportunity to be able to traverse the caves in a very different way than you used to.
Yeah, we were playtesting, and then one of the guys like, look at this, it's so fun, and all of us just started to go into the waterfall. It was a lot of fun.
So another thing to note here is that you can see that a lot of the ores are actually glowing. This is just for preview purposes. Ores aren't going to glow down. It's just that the caves tend to be quite dark, and we want to make sure that players can see the shapes of the cave.
Now, will that only be for the normal caves, or will this run across all of the new cave biomes?
So the really cool thing is that the new cave shapes and sizes is completely independent from the new biomes. So that means that we have so much variation. Because for example, a lush cave can for example generate a narrow tunnel, and so that can also generate huge caverns, and then create completely different atmosphere with still the same biomes. So you get very variation you can probably two of the different cave types spaghetti and Swiss cheese, that's how varied it is.
Yeah, there are so many different variables of how the variation works, and it has even more variation than the overworld itself. It's just crazy.
It's a lot. Yeah, some of the things, for example, have really cool pillars, and some of them are flat, some are tall. Lots of variation.
Very nice. And you have another new cave biome to show us.
Yes, so we have the Dripstone Caves biome. And whenever I think about the idea of a cave update, the image of stalagmites and stalactites comes into my head. But adding these are pretty difficult. You know, it's a very unique shape that Minecraft isn't really accustomed to, but I think the way that the artist put it into Minecraft works quite well. And of course there's some magic mechanics around there, so you can see that someone destroyed the block up the top, and so the dripstone fell down. And also, unfortunately for the zombie here, if you fall on these dripstones, you
There's another interesting mechanic in the dripstone caves.
Yes, so maybe you saw in the video that, like, from the stalactites, you could see that it was, like, dripping water. So actually, if you put a cauldron under a stalactite, it will fill up with water. So it's renewable water.
And how do you remember which is stalactites and stalagmites?
But that's a very good question. It's been really tricky to remember that. But I think I know. So we actually, it's hold on tight. It's stalactite. That's going to be the wrong one. So stalactite is in the roof and stalagmite is on the floor.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We've been practicing. All of us.
For a long time, even.
And you have something really amazing in this update for sort of redstone engineers out there.
Yes, so we've actually been thinking about this redstone block that lives in the dark, a new biome at the deepest depths of the world. We're not going to talk about this biome too much today, but we are going to show some of the blocks and maybe later a mob that comes from it. So if we look at the video, we can actually see that there is basically this growth, and this is called the skulk blocks. And one of the blocks is called the skulk sensor. This is the new redstone block. As you can see, when you press or destroy a block, or if you have footsteps, it'll actually detect the vibrations around and then emit a redstone signal. So this is going to be very interesting for redstone players. We even have a mechanic around it where you can actually use wool with wool occlusion to essentially prevent signals from being able to get into the skulk sensor. So let's take a look at that now. And as you can see here, I walked next to the skulk sensor, and it's actually kind of doing an infinite loop where the piston is causing a vibration, and then it's activating the skulk sensor and going over and over again. But here, I've actually put a wool block in between the piston, which prevents the signal from going to the skulk sensor. This can allow you to even do sort of directional skulk sensors where you can put wool blocks on each side and only allow to detect vibrations in front of it. And vibrations can be so many different things. You know, it could be a snowball, a hit, it could be an arrow, it could be footsteps, it could be blocks, anything.
So cool.
Yeah.
And another thing, we had a bit of a happy accident with this, because